wants us to break. That night, they heard voices again, Elisa, Jake, and Marcus, calling to them, repeating their names. But their mouths were all wrong. Like puppets pulled by something unseen, Adam snapped. He ran into the woods, screaming their names. Sophie ran after him, but he was gone. Not a trace, just the sound of twigs snapping deeper into the trees. Then, silence. Alone, Sophie ran. She abandoned the cameras, dropped her bags. She followed the sun, pushed through branches, slid down muddy ravines. After 2 days of wandering, dehydrated and hallucinating, she collapsed on a hiking trail outside the forest. Locals found her covered in cuts and scratches, muttering, "Don't listen. They lie, they lie." She spent 3 weeks in a Romanian psychiatric hospital. She has never spoken publicly about what happened, never returned to Romania, never made another film in 2017. A Romanian hiker found a weather-worn GoPro wedged between 2 trees deep in the forest. It was Eliza's. Only one file was intact. In the footage, Eliza appears pale, shaking, whispering, "If you see yourself in the trees, run." Behind her stands a second Eliza, smiling. UNBLINKING. Since then, more stories have surfaced. 3 children disappeared near the edge of Hoja Baciu in 2020. Only their shoes were found, placed side by side facing the trees. Drone footage shows the circle remains lifeless, unchanged, not a single blade of grass. It's as if the earth itself rejects that space. Today, Hoja Baciu is still open to the public. Tour guides offer brief walks near the edges, but few dare to step deep inside. Scientists continue to study the area. No consistent data, no rationale. Explanations: the forest bends machines and minds. Paranormal researchers believe it's not a portal but a living entity. It feeds on attention. It wants to be known, but only on its own terms. Some say it reveals what you fear. Others say it strips away who you are. One researcher described it as a place where identity dissolves and is replaced by something else. Another said, "It doesn't kill you, it unmakes you." Whatever the truth, one thing remains. The forest is still there, still silent, still waiting. If you ever find yourself near Cluj-Napoca and are tempted to explore the strange woods nearby, remember what others have seen, what others have lost. And if you find a clearing where nothing grows, and the air suddenly feels too still, and the birds have stopped singing, turn around. Do not listen to the voices, do not follow the lights, and above all, do not look too long into the trees, because the forest is already looking back, and if it sees you, it will remember your name. It was meant to be just another field assignment. In 1998, a group of 4 university students from London set out to film a short documentary for their media course. The topic was simple: abandoned Cold War era signal stations across Eastern Europe. One of the students, 22-year-old Amelia Cross, had found a listing in an obscure government archive referencing a site called Station HC3, located deep in the Carpathian Mountains of Romania. It was described as decommissioned and unmapped, used during the late 1970s for shortwave frequency testing and low-level message encryption. But no official photographs existed, and the coordinates given were just a series of numbers, handwritten in the margin of a report. Intrigued, they rented a van and crossed the Hungarian border into Romania, entering the rugged northern territories where phone signals disappeared and villages were scattered across vast forests. They stopped in a remote hamlet called Vistalia, where the locals warned them not to go any farther. They spoke of a cursed area beyond the hills, where animals refused to go and lights could be seen dancing in the trees at night. But the students laughed it off, dismissing the villagers as old-fashioned and superstitious. They followed the crude coordinates through winding mountain roads until the path narrowed into a dirt trail and then into forest. What happened after that would become one of the most baffling disappearances in European history. Only a single camcorder tape, found weeks later, would hint at the horrors they encountered. The footage began normally, Amelia holding the camera, joking with her friends as they hiked through thick underbrush, following an old path lined with rusted fence posts. Hours later, they reached it. Station HC3, a crumbling concrete bunker overgrown with ivy and moss, barely visible under the canopy. The doors were rusted but not locked. Inside, the air was heavy with the scent of mildew and metal. Broken equipment littered the ground radio consoles, shattered glass tubes, coils of wire. Everything was untouched for decades, but the deeper they explored, the more uneasy they became. The station extended far underground. Corridors descended into darkness, with each level more decayed than the last. The walls were covered in strange chalk symbols, not in any language they recognized. And then the signal came. Their equipment, an old portable radio brought for atmospheric effects, began to receive a transmission. A low, constant frequency, followed by what sounded like a woman whispering in Romanian, then English, repeating the same sentence. Do not listen, do not look, do not remember. They should have left. But curiosity is a predator disguised as wonder. They kept filming. The footage showed Amelia growing agitated. She said she was hearing music from beneath the floor, like a music box playing out of tune. Another student, Mark, claimed he saw someone moving in the hall, ahead an old man with no face, just static where features should be. They argued, paranoid, unsettled. The camera began glitching, showing frames that didn't match the timeline. People walking backward, shadows moving before their owners. Then, in one section of footage, Amelia pointed the camera at a cracked mirror leaning against the wall, but the reflection didn't match. In the mirror, the hallway was empty. The people standing there were not. The tape ended with a single frame, a shot of the group standing in the corridor, mouths open as if screaming, but no sound played. It was a still image, their last moment, frozen in digital decay. When authorities finally followed the same route weeks later, they found the van abandoned, its doors wide open. The inside was covered in ash and dead leaves. No blood, no signs of a struggle, just silence, and station HC3. It wasn't there. No bunker, no ruins, nothing but forest. The coordinates led to a patch of mossy earth, as if the structure had never existed. But the tape was real. Found near the village, inside an old wooden box left at the church steps. No fingerprints, no DNA, just the tape. Experts studied it. The digital corruption couldn't be explained. Images flashed at one-frame intervals, visible only under analysis. Strange humanoid figures with elongated skulls. Diagrams of radios tuned to channels between channels, and what looked like maps of Hoya Baciu forest, except these were dated 1891, decades before the forest even appeared on modern records. A year later, another team of amateur explorers tried to retrace the path. They, too, vanished. No footage was found, but a farmer in Vistalia claimed to have seen people wandering the forest, disoriented, walking in slow circles, repeating numbers in static-filled voices. Their eyes, he said, were entirely black. Government officials dismissed the entire story. They said the tape was a hoax, that the students had gotten lost and likely died of exposure. But nothing was ever found. No bodies, no belongings, just the tape and the whispers. Today, that camcorder tape is stored in a locked archive in London. Access is restricted. Staff say those who've watched it in full report hallucinations, dreams of radio towers rising out of graves, of hearing music in drains, whispers in wires. Some believe Station HC3 was not a military installation at all, but something far older, a point where reality thins, where signal and spirit overlap. A transmitter not for us, but for something watching, listening, broadcasting back. They say there's a frequency out there, one you should never tune into. It lives in the static, the silence between sounds, and once you hear it, it knows you, it remembers you, and it will find you. Like it found Amelia, like it found the others, like it's finding more every time someone listens too closely to nothing at all. The last broadcast never ends, because the signal is still out there, and somewhere deep in a forest that should not exist, Station HC3 still calls for you.